90% of people fail at sales, and I promise you, it is absolutely not because they are bad at selling. Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to completely shatter the biggest myth in business today. If you've ever felt that awful pit in your stomach before a big pitch, or if you find yourself hesitating right before asking for the close, you need to hear this. We're breaking down a fascinating guide that exposes the real, hidden psychology behind closing deals. By the end of this, you're going to see your own sales conversations in a totally different light. Let's get right into it. So think about this staggering number for a second. 90%. Most people who struggle in sales tell themselves a really comfortable story. They look around, they see their peers just crushing quotas, and they think, well, I'm just not a natural at this. I don't have the gift of gab. Some people are born salespeople, and I'm simply not one of them. But you know what? That story is a trap. It totally removes your responsibility and makes failure feel like it's just inevitable. The reality is that 90% failure rate has absolutely zero to do with natural talent, and it has nothing to do with a lack of skill. See, the comfortable lie we've all been sold is that sales is all about memorizing the perfect scripts, learning the exact right objection frameworks, and delivering this slick closing line. But you can memorize every single sales technique ever written and still lose deal after deal. Why? Because, to put it bluntly, you don't fail because you don't know what to say, you fail because of what's happening inside your head while you say it. The real problem is entirely psychological, it's emotional, and it's happening right beneath the surface, sabotaging your words before they even leave your mouth. Section 1. The invisible enemy. Let's dive into the real, hidden reasons you might be struggling to get those contracts signed. Think about the beginner mindset versus the expert mindset. The differences here aren't about having a better vocabulary, they're entirely psychological. Nervous beginners are constantly seeking approval. You know the feeling, right? You want the prospect to like you so badly that you end up softening your pitch. You back off at the slightest friction. You talk way too much just to cover up your own internal discomfort when there's an awkward silence. But on the flip side, top closers, they remain completely indifferent to the outcome. They project deep confidence because they aren't emotionally dependent on getting a yes. Instead of rambling, they use silence strategically to ask diagnostic questions. They sell simply by helping the person sitting in front of them. Let's break down the 6 invisible forces that are actively killing your results every single day. First up is the fear of rejection, basically bracing for a no before the phone even rings. That just projects a defensive, nervous energy, which inevitably leads to the second force, a desperate need for approval. Listen, when you need them to like you, you cannot lead them. Third is low self-belief. Think about it. If you don't genuinely believe your product transforms lives, there is no way your prospect will. That leads directly to the fourth force, talking too much, which stems from nervous energy and causes you to lose control of the whole conversation. Fifth is selling instead of helping, which instantly puts up the prospect's defensive walls. And finally, the sixth force, emotional dependence on the outcome, which honestly just radiates desperation. When you step back and look at the pattern here, you realize something pretty profound. Look closely. Not a single one of those 6 forces sabotaging your calls is about your actual sales technique. None of them. They are 100% about the internal, emotional state you bring into the room. It's the energy you project. Once you identify and fix that internal state, the positive results automatically follow. You don't need better words. You need a better mindset. Which brings us to Section 2, Sales is neuroscience, not talking. Now that we know what's going wrong internally, let's look at the actual science of how buying decisions are made. We all love to believe that we make decisions based on cold, hard logic, right? Well, neuroscience proves that is completely wrong. This goes way back to basic human survival wiring. The emotional brain, the part that's desperately seeking safety, comfort, and trust, fires milliseconds before the rational brain even wakes up to get involved. Buyers evaluate you emotionally first. Long before they even consider your price, your specific features, or your competitors, they have already decided how they feel about you. This means your absolute first priority, every single time, must be to build trust and emotional safety. Furthermore, your internal state, it leaks right through the phone or across the table. It is palpable. When you're unsure, the prospect feels it instantly, and their emotional brain signals danger. But when you possess an unshakable, rock-solid belief in your product, that certainty transfers directly to them. Confidence is highly contagious. And that is exactly why deep, genuine belief in what you are selling is absolutely non-negotiable. And here is a fundamental rule you've got to remember. Authority always beats persuasion. You simply cannot talk or push someone into buying. When you try to persuade, it's like pushing a giant boulder uphill. The prospect feels that pressure, and they naturally resist it. But authority? Authority pulls. When you position yourself as the obvious, authoritative expert who has the exact answer to their specific problem, you pull them in. People want to be led by experts. They don't want to be pushed by salespeople. This brings us to a major hurdle for beginners, the confidence gap. You can actually hear this gap in inexperienced reps. It sounds like rising intonation at the end of their statements, like they're asking a question instead of stating a fact. It sounds like long pauses filled with ums and answers that just sort of trail off. This gap is the literal distance between your current internal certainty and the intense certainty required to actually move another human being to take action. And here is the secret. You don't close this gap by waiting around to feel inspired. You close it through deliberate repetition and entirely detaching your identity from the outcome of the call. Section 3, the 5 traits of top closers. So if it's not natural talent, what exactly separates the top 10% from everyone else? Top closers are not unicorns. They are architects of their own mindset, and they deliberately build 5 specific traits. 1. Certainty. They have a cellular conviction in what they sell. 2. Curiosity. They ask way more questions and give fewer answers to genuinely understand the prospect's world. 3. Control. They act as the guide in the conversation and they never ever chase approval. 4. Emotional stability. They stay perfectly calm under pressure when things stall or objections pop up. And 5. Problem diagnosis. They do not pitch features, they find the real pain and magnify its cost. Every single one of these traits is built through intentional practice, not luck. Section 4. The simple sales framework. Because complexity is the absolute enemy of execution, let's break down a framework anyone can use. This is a straightforward 5-step process that you can apply to literally any industry. And it forces you to gather data and build trust before you ever utter a word about your own product. Step 1. Ask powerful diagnostic questions. Don't pitch, just gather data. Step 2. Understand by reflecting back what you heard to build deep trust instantly. Step 3. Diagnose the real underlying pain and quantify how incredibly expensive it is for them to leave it unsolved. Step 4. Present your solution as the logical bridge from their pain to their desired outcome. And step 5, close naturally. Not by being pushy, but by asking for a decision the exact way a trusted advisor would. Now, pay close attention to this, because here is where most reps lose the deal. Notice that presenting your solution is step 4 out of 5. It is never step 1. This is exactly where overeager beginners make their fatal mistake. They jump on a call and start pitching features immediately. You absolutely must diagnose first and present last. If you present before diagnosing, you are literally just guessing. Section 5, action and repetition. Because reading about confidence won't create it, you have to physically build the evidence of your competence. This requires deliberate practice. The source material outlines a phenomenal 30-day challenge to rapidly build this confidence. Maybe it's recording yourself doing 90-second fake calls every single morning to build intense self-awareness. Or maybe it's intentionally collecting 10 rejections just to completely desensitize your nervous system to the word no. It could even be reading aloud to practice slowing down your vocal pacing. Whatever it is, doing just 2 of these drills for 30 consecutive days will do more for your sales career than 3 years of passive, unguided experience, for sure. Finally, Section 6, the ultimate mindset shift. We're going to end on the most crucial identity shift that changes everything about how you sell. You have to stop performing sales. The best in the world literally do not see themselves as salespeople at all. They see themselves as problem solvers who have the courage to charge for their solutions. When you know you have a solution that genuinely helps people out of a painful situation, shrinking back due to your own temporary discomfort isn't polite. It's actually letting the prospect down. The exact moment you fully internalize this, that sales is not manipulation, but that sales is a genuine, profound act of service, your entire approach shifts. The desperation completely vanishes from your voice. You stop needing their approval, you stop worrying about rejection, and you start focusing entirely on just being extremely useful. Knowledge without action is really just expensive entertainment, right? The gap between knowing and doing is where careers go to die. So I have to ask, which one concept from this explainer are you going to actually implement into your sales process today? Pick one drill, make that critical mindset shift, and go start building your confidence right now. If you found value in this explainer, drop that one concept you're choosing in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.